Okay, this is the intro to the DPR House Builder V13. Basically going to get you sort of familiar with what's going on in the new V13 package. You're going to go ahead and import the DPR House Builder V13, and it's going to create a folder for you. It's going to have the building blocks, materials, meshes, PSDs, and the all blocks V13. Similar to some of the other house builders, if you've done those, how it's set up. You're really not going to need to enter the meshes folder. That's really just for me to import my meshes and then give them a base texture. You're going to really want to operate within the materials folder as you have maybe with some of the other house builder to get things going. Really, you can just take this all blocks V13 and drag it into your project. It's going to drop it onto your terrain hopefully, and then you're going to be able to start building. Now, unfortunately, this looks like something out of the 1980s, but you're going to see I've done it to simplify things. You're going to notice most of the blocks are all gone, and we're now looking at planes, and there's a reason for that. The blocks that I had made had some Z-fighting issues where basically if you put blocks next to each other and you zoomed out, you might get some flashing. The snapping wasn't as good or as accurate, and so in the end I felt like switching to planes simplified things, but honestly I think I can build faster with planes. You can also get a lot more organic construction going on with just utilizing the planes. So hopefully you guys will agree with that decision. The other beauty of doing the planes that I've done is I've also just got window planes. So remember our Photoshop file that we can create windows from. It now has 7 window frames to be able to be created and 2 doors. And just similar as before, that you'll be able to customize these, add different shutters or window sills or casings around the window. And I'll do a separate tutorial on how to do just the windows. But in the end, you can also just download a window off the internet and place it over one of these, and then when you bring it into Unity, you'll see that that you can utilize it onto your project. But the neat thing about having a separate window is you can then scale it. Now let me get you started here first. Sorry, I'll show you that in just a second. What you're going to want to do is once you drop your all blocks prefab onto your project, you're going to want to take the blocks out of the container of the all blocks V13 container. You're going to do that by picking the first, which is the word plane, with the left mouse, scroll all the way to the bottom of it and shift and left mouse, and then drag with the left mouse out of the container all the meshes. So you're going to see it just broke the prefab, and you're going to choose OK. You can now delete the all blocks container. Now each of these are separately resting on your project. Now let me just show you what I was getting at with the windows. I'm going to Control D this to just copy it, but just show you you can now independently scale these, so you have the chance to be able to place different size windows. You'll also be able to then place them in non-symmetric positions, which allows for a lot more intricate building, I believe, and look more realistic versus being completely symmetrical. You still have planes that have the windows placed already, and so you wouldn't have to do that if you didn't want to. So we've got 2 different types of planes. The one texture is one uniform texture, and when we take a material and place that on top of it, you'll see that that's just one material. And now if you come over here to the 2 texture material, you'll see that there's 2 different spots to be able to place a texture, up above and down below. So you can get some varied texturing going on. And that would sort of just look like this. You could put the brick down there, and then maybe you would put stone up above, and you could have something, a variety going on. But let me just show you how we're going to quickly build. We can do some of the texturing things later. Let me see if I can Control Z back out of those. So what I do is I do most of my building with this guy, and you're just going to want to Control D it to copy it and move it to the side here, and we're going to just build off to the side. And I'm going to show you how we can really build a lot simpler. I'm going to just put this at an even integer, 1150, and then put it at 410. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm going to show you how you can build with just typing only for placement, or you can use the V snapping, the vertex snapping. So pick your object here, Control D it, and now you'll see I've got the face. If I hit V, I can go to vertex select mode. So I'm holding down V, and I can go to any of the corners of the vertice, left mouse click and drag, and it will snap in. If you notice it's not snapping to an even integer, you can just type it in. So I'm going to hit Control D. I've got this face here, and I know it was at 1147. So it's a 3 millimeter wide block. If I go to 1144, then it's just going to perfectly place it for me. So you can Control D and then 1141, Control D, 1138. Didn't copy that, so Control D again. That other one was at 1141. So you can see now, sort of building pretty quickly. And then you're going to do maybe a second layer. So pick them all, Control D, and they're going to go up 3. So in the Y dimension, so just type 3. Alright, so now I've already got the entire facing of my building, and I'm going to just do this as a 15 meter, 5 blocks wide by maybe 3 blocks deep. And so we're going to take 3 of these blocks in both levels, Control D, and then we're going to go to the rotation tab, and I'm going to hold down Control while left mouse clicking, and it rotates 90 for me. Now I've got my snap settings to be on a 90-degree rotation. When you do more intricate rotations, you may want to drop this down to like the 15s, especially if you're using some of these other blocks that have maybe 12 or 6 sides to them. But anyway, I've got my snap on the 90, and so what that allows me to do is just a quick rotation of that, and then we can V snap this. And drop it on the corner. Alright, so you can see we're moving along pretty efficiently. Now the one thing I didn't tell you is you'll notice it disappears when you're on the other side of it. And that's because a face or a plane is not double-sided. And I've got the words face out really to help the Blender folk. You won't need this as much in Unity, but if you look at my Blender file and you go the other side of the face out, it doesn't disappear. You actually just see the other side of it. So when you're doing my building in Blender, this just makes it a little easier. When you're doing it in Unity, I've just carried the same sort of base face over. But you'll see, so you can easily lose a plane because it's not shaded on the other side. So see how it looks a little creepy here where things are disappearing. Just don't lose track of your build. But if you rotate a face and it disappears on you, it's because you're not looking at the textured side. A plane only has texture on one side unless you're using a dual-sided shader, which we're not here. So I'm going to copy this wall again, Control D, and I'm going to move it over here. And you're going to come over here and see it disappears on us. And then we're just going to rotate it around. So pick the rotation, hold down Control on the 90, and then go back to the selection tool, hold down V, and snap it. And then so we only have the back side to do now. We'll just pick these across the front. Control D, drop that back, come to the back, rotate it, and then we're going to come to the corner and snap it. Alright, so now all we got to do is put our roof on it, put some windows and doors on it, but you kind of get the idea. It is a little annoying because you don't have the blocks, so you do lose sight of some of the walls. You'll see once you get the roof on, it's not as stressful. But let's just do our hip roof. We'll do just a 3 mm tall roof. So the way I've set these up is they kind of go together horizontally. So we're going to take this piece, and these. They go together. This is like an end piece. This is like a middle piece where you can connect on each side. This is just to have a facing on the end. So we could do just a gable across just to show you, but let's copy this middle piece, and we're going to Control D that and drag that back. And then rotate it 90, so just pick the rotation, come to the green line, left, hold down Control, left mouse, and just drag it to the left or the right to rotate it. And I'm going to put this on the second one in because we're going to do a gable roof now. Hold down V, let me move it up. And now what you're going to see is you're going to want to grab this part of the roof down here. It's a little tough to see, but I know it's there. Basically, this is a like a gutter, and I know there's a part to the gutter here that you can't see at the moment, but it's right there, and you're going to grab it and drop it here. We'll zoom in to make sure we place it better. Oh, bummer. Probably would work better if I started on the end. Let's grab the hip, Control D, bring that over, rotate it. Alright, so it is a little fussier. Now the reason I've changed this a bit, I've added just a little bit of a ledge to the roof. I just thought it gave it a little more realistic look and wasn't going to be overly painful to do it that way. Now it looks like the first piece of the roof is going to be a little annoying, but the others will snap in, and now we can just Control D this piece. Remember, we can just bump it over 3, so that's probably 1144. Control D the next one, 1147. Oh, Unity, 1144. Control D this one, I don't know, 1150. And then rotate it, hold down Control left mouse. Alright. And then see how that changed? That changes back to 1150. Alright, so now we've got our roof on. You'll see I'm shy here. So this is actually 4 block deep roof, so you would just add another block, move the back. You guys get the idea. Now the cool thing with the roof is we've updated it, so now this has a different texture. It's not shared with the window texture. I typically just use a stucco on it. That way you can, it's basically like painting it. And the stucco, obviously you can change the color of it. But I kind of feel like that's going to be a little cooler looking for our buildings, give it a little bit of a ledge. Now you'll look at some of the roofing, and we can do a separate tutorial on the roofing, but this piece here does not have anything underneath it in terms of a roof. So if you look from below, oh well, this one does, it's got faces. The other one here, if you look from below, it has no faces. So if you want sort of a porch or an overhang, you can do it. If you don't want those extra tries and you don't want to worry about the Z fighting, you can pick one that doesn't have any faces on the underside. So now all you'd have to do is put some windows around it. I think you get the idea. You can grab a door over here, Control D it, drag it over, put it wherever you want. And in the end, you just got to make sure you put it a little bit out in front so that there's no Z fighting, and you can kind of test that. You could either do it by a strict number. If you know that that's at 410, you could put this at 410.1. So you know you're 0.1 in front of the building. You're not going to get any Z fighting with that. You can see as I move out, that looks pretty good. But then you could put it wherever you wanted. You could make it whatever size you wanted. And then obviously you can texture it. And then you can texture your building. And you can actually pick these faces, I believe, and drag this on top of that and do it faster that way. Alright, cool. Hopefully you guys get the idea with the basics, and obviously you can do the same with any of these other blocks. These are basically porch type blocks, so I didn't take anything away in that regard. You've got your transparent railings. You've got a couple little odds and end blocks. These are 0.25 millimeters down the left, 0.5 and 1 meter. You've got one archway here. And then some filler blocks, you know, basically you can construct your own sort of blocks as well with some of these other smaller planes, steps, whatever you may want to do. And then just some odd shapes like the quarter rounds. And then you can do some towers, you can do silos. You know, this one's not showing because it's just textured on the outside, obviously. But you could place a couple of these vertically. And then put this on top. Now you've got silo. I live in Kentucky in the US, so we got lots of these around. And then obviously for these I usually like a metal kind of, and then maybe siding. Cool. Alright, enjoy.